Okay, welcome everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good day from wherever you are. Thank you for joining us and welcome. We are all very excited to participate in this FinEquity Africa webinar, where we'll be exploring gender intentional product design across the continent. My name is Tari Ronyimo, and I am the FinEquity Africa Regional Facilitator. I'm joined today by my colleagues, and together we formed a working group where we were meeting for the past 4 weeks and just going through some case studies, showcasing some successful features of gender intentional financial products that we see on the continent. I will now introduce my colleagues that are here with me, starting with you, Ariane. So Ariane Kausi is a digital financial inclusion specialist with 8 years extensive experience in digital finance, microfinance, and market research in Francophone Africa. She contributes to advancing the implementation of CGAP's Resilient Rural Women project in Côte d'Ivoire, bringing her strategic, technical, and operational expertise in gender, business, inclusive finance, climate, and digital tools and services, particularly in rural areas. Prior to CGAP, Ariane held several significant positions, including project manager and country director for the international NGO People, Power, Inclusion in Côte d'Ivoire. Welcome, Ariane.
Thank you, Tariro. Hi, everyone.
Okay. And I'll move to you, Annabella. Annabella Mabota is an agricultural economic development professional with expertise in monitoring, result measurement, financial inclusion, and learning. She brings more than 20 years experience in agriculture sector, more specifically on agricultural market information system implemented by the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development in Mozambique. Currently, she leads the Knowledge Monitoring and Learning Unit within Financial Sector Deepening Mozambique, providing leadership in results management, knowledge management, and learning, action research, project management, and communications. Welcome, Annabella.
Thank you, Tariro. Thank you very much.
And last but not least, Vanya. Vanya Matola is a financial inclusion professional, researcher and driven project monitoring and results measurement analyst, passionate about tourism, innovation, and women's economic empowerment. At Financial Sector Deepening Mozambique, she supports and delivers projects monitoring and evaluation activities and reporting, as well as activities related to learning, knowledge, and communication. She also provides technical support to the implementation of FSDMO's gender and social inclusion strategy and supports the development and implementation of gender intentional interventions. So welcome, Vanya.
Thank you, Tadir. It's good to be here. Thank you, everyone.
It's great to be here. So I think we can start just by saying that we initially when we started, we had a representation from financial services providers, but unfortunately due to capacity, she couldn't continue and therefore she couldn't be part of this webinar. But we're going to launch a poll and find out what our participants think that financial services providers should do, or what can be done to improve or to attract women customers. So I'm going to ask Sarah to launch a poll whilst I share my screen for the presentation that we're going to go through. Okay. Whilst I'm sharing my screen, I'm hoping that people are submitting their opinions of the poll. Okay. And the question that we have is, which of the following is the biggest challenge for financial services providers in attracting women customers, right? can see that everybody has voted, so we can see the results and discuss it. Okay. Or is the poll still going? Right now, I see that 60% of our audience is saying insufficient understanding of women's financial needs. That could be related to data, that could be related to financial services providers maybe just focusing on men themselves as the leaders in household incomes, possibly. We don't know, but it's under that bracket. I think the second one saying 25% lack of gender intentional product design, which is the reason why we came together to discuss. So we have people who are supporting that notion. And then the rest, a few are saying limited marketing and outreach to women, which is really possibly, and just to note in this webinar, when we say women, we're really looking at the underserved women, which includes low-income women and rural women in that segment. I don't know if any of my colleagues has anything to say about the poll and the results. Any comments?
It's not surprising that we're all coming from insufficient understanding of business case to servicing women. And that's what we are seeing in our markets. We are still building the business case to servicing women or excluded in particular or underserved women. So that I think is really well aligned with the whole of this intervention. Of course, I was also surprised to see that we have a lack of gender intentionality on the product design, but that is all along starting with the internal strategies and how this intentionality is brought about in the whole cycle of project development processes. So I will just stop here.
Thank you, Annabella. All right, so we're going to get straight to it. For this webinar, what we've prepared for you is a presentation format with discussion and then some Q&A via you posting in the chats, and then we can have some concluding remarks. So just to paint context, right, why we're talking about gender intentional product design and why we think that it's something that is still important. Now, there's a lot of words on the screen, but just to start with, and I'll have like a discussion with my colleagues here. I think that the gender gap globally, we know that women are underserved. We know that financial services providers or digital financial services providers have been focusing on men due to several reasons. And then we have women, vulnerable women or marginalized groups that are underserved and lagging behind due to many reasons. But there has been progress. And I think due to the pandemic, COVID-19 made it possible for a lot of underserved or people who hadn't participated in digital financial services to start at least have first-time transactions online. So the gender gap has reduced from the 9% that has been hovering for a long time to 6% that we have now. But in sub-Saharan Africa, we have a 12% access gap, that's account ownership. And the numbers really vary from country to country. So I'd like Ariane to at least comment about Francophone or Côte d'Ivoire and the gender gaps that you've seen in your context.
Yes, thanks, Stariro. On Côte d'Ivoire side, in 2021, the financial inclusion rate in Côte d'Ivoire reached 51%, according to data from the World Bank, Global Findex 2021. So this figure represents a significant increase on 2017 when the rate was 41%, marking a rise of 10 percentage points. So this improvement reflects ongoing efforts to increase access to financial services, notably through digital finance and financial education initiatives. So although financial inclusion has increased in recent years, challenges remain, especially for women. So many disparities are there. There is a significant gender gap with only 38% of women had a bank account compared to 65% of men. So women are around 27 percentage point less likely than men to have an account. So these many disparities limit women's access to formal financial services. We will see in a few minutes when I will present care and advanced experience.
Thank you so much, Ariane. And just to confirm, you can see my screen properly? Please give me a thumbs up. Just wish I'm sharing, and it's
Yes,
looking
gender dynamics, context of the webinar, the slides.
okay, good. Okay, great. I'm going to ask Annabella to comment on Mozambique. We know that, and for a country, I'll give an example of a country like Uganda, which within sub-Saharan Africa, which is said, I think, according to Findex, has a 2% gender gap. So things are looking good in Uganda. Tell us what's happening in Mozambique briefly, Annabella.
Thank you, Tariru. I think we are following the global partner. Mozambique is also in the same situation. We have a 5% gap points in favor of men when it comes to financial access to financial services. And that's why we are now trying to address with the responses with specific gender intentional interventions to reduce the gap. So that's the situation in Mozambique.
Okay, I'm excited about hearing about your work at FSD Mozambique later on. So we're looking forward to that. I'll move on to our methodology. So now what we did, our list or our case studies are not exhaustive, but we selected a few to just get a deep dive and ideate and see what we see could or list what we see are as the key features of successful gender intentional financial services product design on the continent. So what we did was a desktop review. We had stakeholder consultations in some of our meetings. We convened with the Women's World Banking, the Africa team. We also spoke to Women Save. We did some data synthesis and analysis, and then we had collaborative discussions. So this is the basis of the presentation that we have today. It's not like we had a year-long in-depth analysis of gender intentional product design on the continent. We had our discussions, we came up with some key features, and this is what we want to share today. Okay. Annabella, I'm going to move to you next so you can give us more context on women.
Thank you, Tariru, once more. I think I'm going to build that part based on what the pool told us, where we're coming from. So when you're designing for underserved or excluded women, really, there are some important factors to take into account. So for this purpose, we have divided these factors in structural factors, including normative factors. So coming to structural factors, we are talking about physical space, which has to do with the mobility. We're talking about legal frameworks, and we have some examples of access to property, titles, and legal ID, differences in education and capabilities, which are some of them based on some of the norms that have been imposed by the fact that we are in the ecosystem where we're coming, each of us. But also we talk about demands on time and the resources to serve that women. On the normative factors, it's implicit that there is always a bias that when we talk about servicing women and men, we think that they're equal, and this is wrong. Also, there is an expectation that from attitudes to roles and behaviors, we are all the same, which is also not accurate. We also need to look at acceptability in interacting with other gender or specific spaces, because they can also influence the way women also uptake some of the solutions that are brought. But there is also intra-household dynamics that also needs to be understood when you want to design something or designing to empower women. Women are not really monoliths, so solutions might tailor towards variety of circumstances and also towards different needs. Looking at unheard contribution and secret savers, young women normally they expect to contribute to the household, but they have no voices when it comes to financial decision making. So there is a need for those who are designing to understand who is this young women that we are designing for. And about the secret savers, primarily homemakers and caregivers, these women, they worry about financial security and also saves secretly. So when someone designing, they need also to take that into consideration, security issues and also privacy that is going to also affect how these women will adopt or not, or will influence adoption or not adoption of some of the products. Another is decision making and dependence. Unemployed women normally who received money and have complete control over it due to life stage or circumstances, they rely on family or public supporters to manage it. So we need really to look who are close to these women that still can influence what the decisions to use these resources can be done. Another point also to take into account is contributing to cultures. So women who work to provide for their families, primarily in time of needs, and who lack financial and employment autonomy, normally they don't also have that autonomy to decide and when and then how they use the resources. And another point is unequal earnings. Salaried women normally who works because their husbands allow them to do, they manage the household expenses and use bank accounts to accept paychecks and transfer the money. But also you need to understand how they manage the decision and the usage of this money that is being gained through them. And another aspect has to do with the ladder climbers. So women who have also started their own businesses, they have a multiple income streams and the regular cash flow. So we need to understand when designing for this type of women's and what is the cycle that is being they have been engaged on. When do they need the money for? If you would think about women's in the formal markets, like every day they need money to go into buy commodities to come and sell. So you need to understand that at the end of the day, these women may pay because she needs the money in the morning, and then she will sell and receive money. Probably at the end of the day, she will pay for it. So you need to understand that cycles and dynamics in the small businesses. And then we have influencers. So finally, financial successful women who have established steadily incomes and use financial services and informal savings groups, they are also one influencer to look at when you are supporting, designing tailored solutions. You need to look at this. So I will stop and pause here, and thank you.
Thank you, Annabella. I think it's really important to know that women, we have different needs, and at our different life stages, we will want to engage with financial services for different situations. So I think you really took us through that slide really well, and I hope that Sarah has shared more research done by IDEO.org and CGAP around women's life stages, and how financial services providers can use that to design products that are more relevant for the woman, if we're defining the woman. So I'm going to move to Ariane now, and for you to give us a picture or a case study that is from Cote d'Ivoire that you think highlights some success factors for gender intentional product design. Over to you, Ariane.
Thank you, Tariero. So I'm delighted to share with you today that enriching experience of the collaboration between the Microfinance Advanced Côte d'Ivoire and CARE International. So together, these two organizations are working to address the challenge of financial inclusion for women in rural areas by developing such as innovative approach tailored to the realities. The starting point was clear. Many women in rural areas lacked confidence and knowledge about formal financial systems. They often preferred informal saving methods, which were less secure and ill-suited to the needs. Additionally, access to credit was often limited, and traditional saving group faced operational inefficiencies with growing needs that often exceeded their limited resources. So CARE International, the INGO CARE International, with its strong community presence, identified and supported the creation of savings groups. And these women groups established a regular savings and a system of group loans. Once these savings groups were sufficiently mature, CARE facilitated their connection with Advanced Côte d'Ivoire, the microfinance, and then Advance offered collective bank accounts, individual interest-bearing accounts, mobile access, and financial training. Access to accounts is made easier through a mobile service using the USSD menu, allowing groups to make deposits or withdrawals for free via mobile money. Furthermore, advanced setup credit system for savings groups deemed mature enough by CARE based on the savings history and repayment capacity. So after that, more than 3,000 women were reached under this joint initiative, belonging to more than 100, around 100 groups from over 400 million in loans were granted. This collaboration has provided several valuable lessons. First, is the importance of partnerships with organizations like CARE, which already have the trust of rural women's community. Secondly, the necessity of a culturally relevant approach, building on existing community savings practices while formalizing and digitizing them. In Côte d'Ivoire, rural women are often involved in agricultural activities that are dependent on climate variations. They generally address and structured markets, making it very complex for financial institutions to support them. So the importance of long-term support and continuous financial education was also highlighted. So access to credit has proven to be a powerful motivator for saving, especially among women. Belonging to a group also increases motivation to repay the loan. And finally, digital innovation and the use of mobile banking played a key role in the success of this model, which is now ready to be scaled up. For the conclusion, the collaboration between Advance and CARE demonstrates that it's possible to develop financial products tailored to the needs of women in rural areas by combining a community-based approach, financial education, and digital innovation. This model can significantly contribute to the financial inclusion and empowerment of rural women. So at CGEP, we are working to provide technical support to financial institutions and other key ecosystem players to develop innovative financial products and services that facilitate the financial inclusion of rural women. This is precisely what we are currently doing within the framework of our ABERA program. That means accelerating business to empower rural women in agriculture. That's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Ariane. And I think we're going to see the use of technology throughout, used to reach women or to design that relevant product for them, and savings products as well. But just to note that it's something that we also discussed, that when we use technology, there are other barriers that we should consider, such as the access or affordability to the actual device and internet as well. So we note those barriers, but also show that technology is a way to create great features that are relevant for women. And now I'm excited to hear about the financial sector deepening project in Mozambique. And I hand it over to you, Vanya.
Thank you, Tadiro. Thank you so much for this opportunity to share the work that we are doing to support and promote gender intentional product design to empower women in Mozambique. Where we come from, FSD has a facilitator of and promoter of financial inclusion in Mozambique. We identified a problem, it's the gender gap. It's not only the gender gap. The issue here is that there's a persistent gender gap on the 5 percentage point on total financial inclusion, so in favor of male. And to better understand this, what we did is we did a market diagnostic. We wanted to understand from the demand side, what are the issues from the supply side. So we had conversation with the supply side, and what we found out is that there is limited sector segregated data first. Because if you don't know what are the products that women use, what are the products that men use, how can you analyze and understand what are their needs? And how can you improve or bring more products to serve both women and men? Information, in terms of information, there were very limited information on existing products for women. We found that some banks, some commercial banks, they are offering products for women, for maternity, and but for us, we wanted to know what are the products that can also be offered or can respond to the needs for specific women segments, which for us was the most important. It was for the underserved groups in rural areas, for example, for the informal market, which most of them in Mozambique are women are integrated. But the banks have this information, but you can only have or get the information if you go there. People don't know much. What are the products that exist that's specific for women? I think that we on the poll was very clear about the insufficient understanding of women financial needs, but also this it's related to the limited capacity of the financial institution, of the DFS providers to design these products. If you don't understand the women's financial needs, how can you design a product that can respond to these needs? Also, we found that it's important to have this gender mainstreaming in the organization, and this should be also related to all the work that the organization is doing. So the strategy, a clear strategy that it says that, okay, we want to reach women, and the intervention that we are going to do, it should be intentional. So the intentionality is very important. Other things that we found out is that there are some consumer protection measures that providers should focus and in addressing risk on use of digital financial service by women. And this also because there are different risks. The risks in understanding by women and by men are very different. So it's important to know what are these risks so women can also trust more and use digital financial services. In terms of demand side, we found that there's low levels of education from our market segment. So people don't understand what are the financial services, how can they understand and make decision which financial service they can use, low levels of digital literacy. And we are talking here about specifically about the digital financial services, and also low levels of mobile phone ownership that can also help people to use the digital financial services. So this intervention, so when we made this diagnostic, and we have the support of the Gender Collaborative Program of FSD Network, and So promote gender equality in use and access of digital financial services and financial service overall. It's a common objective, and we had the support also for a technical assistant from Fin Property Solution, who has experience in designing and work with different actors within the ecosystem, the financial ecosystem, to bring products but responding to the needs of the specific target market. What are the process that we are following? This intervention, after we did the market diagnostic, we wanted to bring something that could guide us on the world. So we decided to develop this gender smart digital financial service. It's a toolkit that provides guidance to the supply side, so to the market actors, to how to develop or to design products for women. So this work, the development end of the toolkit, we see has an instrumental tool that we envisage that can close or to contribute to close the gender gap. And this toolkit is to be used, or is being used to increase the technical capacity of the FS provider, the financial institution, and also it brings an approach, which is the application of client-centric approach. In this case, it would be, we can say that women client-centric approach and also market segmentation. So this will help to improve the design and also the delivery of gender smart digital financial service solution. So this toolkit was was part of the one bigger intervention, which is the Gender Smart Innovation Facility, which we have selected. We have selected companies to make part of a design sprint, and also this toolkit was also revised and do as a co-creation with the supply side. So as part of this facility, we had 2 cohorts. We started last year. The first cohort, we had application from 12 companies, which we selected 6. And they had an opportunity to identify a specific market segment that they want to reach. And in cohort 2, we had a different approach. We had 13 participants, which 7 were selected, but we wanted to, because we know that on the first cohort we had some lessons, so we wanted to bring an innovation grant forward to support the implementation of new innovation ideas. This is to address the barriers that we saw, the barriers on access and usage, financial literacy, digital literacy. So right now we are in cohort 2, and we are working with these companies to bring these innovative ideas. So both cohorts, they are what the supply side did is to gain these practical skills on how to implement a client-centric product development. And we had this orientation on the gender toolkit and also technical assistance, including go-to-market strategy. So in terms, and also we work on the light of the policy side, because we question ourselves what are the policies or regulation, and how the policymakers and the regulators are prepared to receive this solution, because this solution has to be licensed, need approval, for example, from the central bank or from the insurance institution. So we work also with we engage with the co-creation with different institutions like the Ministry of Gender, the central bank, and other institutions. So we came up with this policy guidance note and to support policy enable environment more to promote gendered digital financial inclusion in Mozambique. Apart from this, we have this policy guidance note, which main objectives are to promote gender equality in access and uses of DFS, to enhance women's financial inclusion and empowerment, and also to create an enabling environment on gender digital financial service. So in terms of key learnings, as you can see, I think Ariane touched a very important point about partnership. Without partnership, we couldn't implement this intervention. I think partnership is key. And as a market facilitator, we promote synergy with different partners, and we have this in the two cohorts where we found different participants in a room starting to design in 10 days, designing solutions, but they also see the opportunity to partner with themselves. So partnership is key. And we also see that it's very important to continue support. So the support is not only to design and to bring, but also to bring this solution to the market. We need to continue support, mentoring, and also give more technical assistance. So the go-to-market strategy, and also to monitor the solution to understand, are women are using this solution, how they are using, is there anything that we have to go back and improve the solution? So this is something that for us, we see that it was very important, and also in cohort 1. And other thing is not only developing digital solution, but also we need to develop non-digital solutions. Is solutions, for example, innovation that we financial literacy, that can also the demand side can be easy for them to use the solutions that they are coming to the market. So one important key lesson that we have is the work that we are doing with the policymakers. We saw that depending on each country, it's very important to see that some countries need to understand or needs to see what are the good practices, what are the case studies in terms of regulation, in terms of policy side. So we have this with these engagements and workshops that we had with different institutions. So we identified that we need to build the capacity of this institution through peer learning. So it's another thing. We think that this kind of approach can be replicated, or kind of intervention can be replicated, but of course we need to see the context of each country, and the diagnostic. I think the market diagnostic help us to understand what the ecosystem that for example, that our target group is inserted, and also in terms of enabling environment, and also the supply side. So I just want to very, very briefly talk about one solution that it came from this intervention. So it's a fintech called Tembani Africa Group. So they are developing, they developed a solution, now it's in the market. It's a digital solution, it's a digital short-term loan. It's more to empower entrepreneurs and also salary earners in Mozambique. So the good things about this solution, we see some changes, because we have the sandbox in a central bank. This group, this company was part of the center of the sandbox, and so they have this let's say support from the central bank, and now the central bank say that they suggested this fintech to become a bank, because how the solution works, that they need to be integrated. The disbursement of the loans is done by a commercial bank. And the good thing about this solutions, there is some value-added services. It's the financial literacy. They use artificial intelligence, AI. They use also some interactive voice response. So this is a short loan, but digital, in a digital automated form. So, and we see that the work that they are doing, the support they are doing with their clients, and more and more, they have 53% of the clients are women. So I wanted to thank you, and I hope that we will have a very good discussion, and we are here to answer to your question, and further information we can also share with you later. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm glad you introduced the regulator and the role of the regulator. I think for FinEquity Africa's annual convening in Addis, we had a workshop on gender intentional regulatory design, and really discussing the role of the regulator, and not necessarily the regulator making it the financial services providers' job to ensure that there's an inclusive financial system, or the digital financial services providers' duty to ensure that they are gender inclusive, but also to ensure that within their design of policy, within the organization itself, how it works, can lead to gender inclusive regulatory design. But now, just to move along so fast, you talked about partnership, Ariane talked about partnership. I'm going to briefly discuss a case study that we could not ignore, that is in South Africa, that is Time Bank. A lot of research has been done on Time Bank, a lot of showcasing the work that they have done in a very short period of time of attracting up to 9 million customers now, a fully digital retail bank launched in 2019, and that has made it, or has been intentional about attracting women customers with a 51% representation. Now, there are three sets of barriers that Time Bank looked at: the access part, the physical, and then they partnered with grocery chain stores such as Boxer and Pick n Pay, which then gave them a nationwide reach to customers. And also they met the customer where the woman was, especially that woman that is underserved. There's also a pricing issue that they considered when they were structuring their services that made it very attractive for women customers. And there's also the community aspect that has been mentioned by both Vanya and Ariane, by including agents, community people that can help you with the kiosk. They also used technology. So there's the technology part, and then there's also partnerships with retail chain, grocery chain stores. And all of that culminated into that reach into the women customer and that rise in gender intentional product design, which is celebrated and continues to be celebrated. We know that Time Bank has moved to the Philippines and is doing a similar strategy. Okay, so I'm going to move into the summary, right? As we get into Q&A, I'm not so sure how time is looking, but I'll stop sharing now and get a hold of it. But just to discuss now, as the working group, some of the key features that we saw on our key case studies, and the benefits or the relevance or how it speaks to the woman customer. For example, we talked about mobile devices. Now, if mobile devices will save you time, right? If you don't have to go to the bank, and you can reach it where you are, and you can do all your unpaid work. And there's a level of proximity that has been solved for you by mobile devices. USSD, its accessibility because there's a pricing issue there, affordability, and some of this trust. Someone mentioned trust, a key feature or a key benefit that is prevalent in price-sensitive women markets. I don't know if my colleagues have things to say on some of these key features that we've been seeing. Interest-free or lower interests. Ariane, can you join in? Ariane, can you join in? And then maybe Annabella.
Sorry, it's mixed up. Can you hear me?
Sure, I can hear you.
Yes. Can you repeat, please, your question?
Oh, just to comment on the features that we have here in this slide. Some of the key features like agent networks, kiosks, digital loads, alternative credit scoring. I think Vanya talked about using AI and algorithms, which can include build in some barriers, but can also be used to give access. I think we lost Ariane there.
Yes. I can comment on one of these, the alternative credit scoring. It's also an opportunity to learn more about what are the other needs that these MSMEs they have. So through the credit scoring, it's possible also to get the information that can also inform other opportunities in terms of other services, or you bundle services that can be also of a needs to these segments. So it's really important. We did also another intervention, which was not really gender intentional, but we produced some credit history. When we look at one of the challenges also is to identify, we are designing to whom, and most of the providers, they were saying, we don't have history of these target groups. So for you to build the history, it takes time, but also that's why they are not considered also viable business or targeted group when it comes to providers to offer sustainable and then solutions that really will respond to the needs. So I think it's one important area, and we actually, in the intervention that we had, we were able to produce credit scorings for pay as you go for electricity. And then it comes out that this information we were able to partner with the provider of financial services, a bank that was able also to provide some assets, to finance some assets like a fridge or others that could also be part of or improve or expand the business opportunity. So the credit scoring, it's a way also to bring other needs, and also to know it's a data that is important to empower our segments. And when it comes to women, it's even more relevant because we are trying to build the business case to showcase that there is a business case for servicing women intentionally. I'll just stop.
Thank you, Annabella. I think we have only 6 minutes left, and we would like to interact now with the audience and answer some of the questions. I know, Ariane, you have been monitoring the chats, but just before we do that, I just wanted to thank you for all your contributions here and for all the case studies that we've gone through. I think we've learned a lot here. In terms of credit scoring, I know FSD Network has been doing some work on that. So maybe that could be our next webinar where we really take a deep dive into this alternative data and how that has helped the woman customer be included. I know that Grid Impact has done a lot of work on barriers and opportunities and I think in this discussion, we have been focusing more on that segment of women who's included but underserved, and we're trying to get them into included and served category to move them. And I think the progress that has been made with the access gap shows that we actually can. So I'm gonna ask for Ariane's help to get some of the questions that we can discuss as a panel.
Yes, sorry, I lost connection while a moment, but I've not one question about my intervention concerning requirements, KYC requirements, the difference between KYC for the groups and for individual member. So to bring an answer to that, saving groups in Côte d'Ivoire, savings groups are considered to be associations and therefore corporate entities. So it's therefore the association that is registered with microfinance. Given the lack of identity documents for members at individual level and the inability to take out loans individually. For the time being, savings groups are not fully recognized because in the view of some local authorities, there are many little microfinance and should therefore be regulated by the central bank. But the central bank does not recognize them. And so NGO Care International has made a pledge to the public authorities to recognize these groups. This led to a change in the definition of VSLE from village loan and saving association to community, the promotion of community aid. So with that, it was only in this way that they were granted the association documents they needed to register with financial institutions. And recently, these groups were recognized by the Ministry of Solidarity as a tool in the fight against poverty. And from now, a law for the official creation is currently being drafted. That's the point concerning the registration of savings group in Côte d'Ivoire.
Thank you, Ariane. And I think savings group is a tool that is used by women globally as a way to manage their money, as a way to get their needs or their achieve their goals. And they've been successful within women, but there's also an issue about introducing men into these saving groups and how that works and if it should or if it should not. But I think those are things that we could possibly discuss on another day. We have actually run out of time. It's been a marathon for us. Thank you so much for coming to hear what we had to share. And we're looking forward to more. Actually, in our discussions, we were thinking that we should continue meeting and really opening up to becoming a bigger working group without the pressure of a webinar. and just discuss more about what we're seeing on the continent. We are aware that there are other more recent initiatives by big banks, by Pan-African banks, as they also try and move towards targeting the women economy or the underserved, marginalized groups that we haven't spoken about here. And we could continue to speak as we try and reduce that access gap. And being access is just an indicator. We need usage, we need quality products, we need to move towards a more inclusive financial ecosystem. I think I have concluded for all of us. I want to thank my colleagues for taking the time and coming to meet and being part of this webinar. We are so excited to come and share, and I hope that it was valuable. Sarah, I think we can adjourn and end the webinar. Alrighty. Thank you.